BYD has been busy disrupting global car markets with its bargain blaster EVs and PHEVs. But here's the twist. That was the cheap stuff. By the end of this video, you will know whether BYD's new luxury brand Denza belongs on your test drive list, along with the likes of Lexus, or not. So BYD has now put on a tuxedo. It is sipping a martini and joining the luxury crowd with its new premium brand Denza, prepared to be shaken and stirred. The Chinese assault on export car markets started off pretty simply. Phase 1, have the cheapest car available and offer strong value. Phase 2, well, that's Denza and also brands like Zeekr trying to offer genuine luxury at much lower prices than the established rivals. We're talking $75,000 to $100,000. And there is also a Phase 3 coming that is even crazier. A halo brand called Yangwang with an SUV that can float across water and a supercar that can literally jump. But first, we need to work out if Phase 2 even makes sense. I'll get to price and spec of the Denza B5 and B8 in just a sec. The big question that runs throughout this entire video is whether or not this new brand can position itself as a Lexus slayer, as a proper BMW basher. Can a premium badge built by a value manufacturer actually convince Australians it belongs in the same league as Lexus? BYD already has big sales, big growth, big everything, and it is not stopping. But generating prestige is an altogether different proposition, and Australians love their European brands because they have heritage, they have history, and they have pedigree. Before shots are fired at Lexus, BMW, and Land Rover, first the facts. 2 Denza vehicles will launch in Australia in early 2025. Think January, February. The Denza B5 and Denza B8 are both PHEVs or plug-in hybrids, priced between $75,000 and almost $100,000 before on-road costs are added. They're fully loaded with primo gear, including jumbo digital screens, Napa leather seats, ventilated and massaging on some versions. Denza has even given them local tweaks and upgrades too. But these are very high asking prices for Chinese metal, and they're more expensive than the Zeekr 7X, which has those Volvo connections to give people a bit of peace of mind, if you like. And then there's the danger of not being expensive enough. There are some luxury car buyers who won't think of buying anything under $100,000. It'd be like Richie Rich shopping at Kmart instead of Maya. The Denza B5 is a 5-seat Lexus GX rival with real off-road chops. Hydraulic suspension, twin locking diffs, the lot. It makes the BYD Shark 6 look like a goldfish. The B8, pure size and luxury in 6 or 7 seats. Basically a rolling penthouse. And the excitement and hype around these SUVs? Colossal would be an understatement. But it's not all rainbows and low emissions. A lot of people don't know about the dark history around Denza's parent company, BYD. Its reputation is far from squeaky clean. I'll dig into that later. I hope you guys are enjoying these vids because I really want to make more of them. I want to talk about the changes going on in the auto industry, not just the cars that are being built, and the forces going on behind the scenes that are affecting these changes. So make sure you subscribe. We'll be dropping one of these around once a week. Denza has done its homework, extensive local testing, boosting the towing capacity of its vehicles to 3 tons and tweaking the suspension. That will also help. Harry Lee, the product manager for Denza Australia and New Zealand, said that there are a number of tweaks made to these vehicles designed to make them more suitable for Australian and New Zealand buyers. And I quote, he says, "For Australia, we've selected the highest grade of powertrain cooling and air conditioning. We've tested it in the Aussie summer. We've used our Middle Eastern spec, the highest level of temperatures we have, good for 55 to 60 degree temperatures. And compared to the domestic market, in brackets, China, we have stiffened the suspension by 30%. Part of that was also about the payload, which was quite low for China. So we're able to get it up a lot, up to about 490 kilograms. Good job, Harry. The price to equipment ratio is strong. The Denza B5 and B8 easily undercut their prestige rivals. But will BYD deliver cut price luxury buyers actually want? So, Denza Australia and New Zealand's new COO, the new big boss, says there are already 5,000 expressions of interest for these vehicles. Now, that's not That's not deposits, that's not pre-orders and vehicles ready to go. But it is a positive sign that there's a lot of interest around these vehicles, and it should bode well for sales of these two vehicles in 2026. But can Denza kick ass and chew gum at the same time? Can it be cheap but also luxurious all at once? And is this a sustainable strategy for the brand? Time will tell, but old mate Dave Harland is already taking pot shots at rivals, saying, and I quote, "I don't see any direct competitor. We want to conquest sales from premium car brands as much as possible. Redefine what a premium price point is." Them's fighting words. He later concluded that Lexus was the brand's main target. People who love reliability, comfort, and the feeling of being ever so slightly better than their neighbour without being flashy about it. The Denza executive reckons these vehicles are world class, but bear in mind, he's paid to say that. And he says, and I quote, "I don't see anyone able to deliver the tech and luxury at price points we can, with powertrain, flash charging, and so on. We offer the best tech with world-class cars." And yes, it is bringing out a 1 megawatt fast charger, but I don't know when we're going to see that. That could be a while away. And Denza also wants to have a nibble at BMW and Audi, which raises a pertinent question. What's the biggest issue with European luxury brands today? Is it reliability? Is it the cost of purchase? Leave a comment below. All right, let's shift gears a bit. And about a year ago, I wrote a story that a lot of people still haven't seen. It's BYD's involvement with supply chains linked to forced labour. In late 2024, Brazilian authorities slammed the brakes on the construction of BYD's massive new EV factory in South America after inspectors discovered slave-like conditions for more than 100 Chinese workers. We're talking bare bed frames, withheld wages, and there's even allegations that passports were confiscated. Now, BYD immediately dumped the contractor after this story got out, but what happens if the story didn't get out? Would they still be using such sketchy contractors? If BMW or Mercedes had been embroiled in such a controversy, it would be global news. The UN would be on the phone, there'd be Senate inquiries, it would stain the brands forevermore. It would create a blemish that would never fade. This incident, barely a ripple, but that doesn't make it disappear because it's an important part of this story, especially for a brand that's positioning itself as premium and arguably ethical. The company is not spotless. Far from it. Yet BYD has very strong brand recognition in Australia. Our regular car sales surveys pull in thousands of responses and they show high awareness and surprisingly positive sentiment around BYD. Some of that will rub off on Denza and it'll crank up again when Phase 3 arrives. Yep, Yangwang. The big wang. These are $200,000 plus brain melters. The U8 is essentially a Rolls-Royce Cullinan rival that can crab walk, spin, and even float. The U9 is a wild supercar that shows off what BYD's tech can do at the insane end of the high-performance car scale. You are probably seeing some of what it can do right now. That is the long game. Use Denza to bridge the gap between the cheaper BYD stuff and then bring in that crazy Halo Yangwang metal that will probably be badged as Denza's. The idea here is to improve the brand's image step by step. The problem is simple. Before anyone in Australia is ready for a $200,000 floating super SUV, Denza has to convince buyers that its $75,000 luxury SUV belongs on the same shopping list as a Toyota Prado or a Lexus GX or any number of European luxury mid-size SUVs. So yeah, the tech is wild and the future is very exciting, but this whole strategy hinges on whether Denza can sell credible everyday luxury cars to a wide range of Aussie buyers. At the same time, the Europeans are not rolling over. In fact, they're fighting back. If you've seen our BMW iX3 video that just popped recently, you'll know that German carmaker has thrown €17 billion. Euros. 17 billion euros. That's like 30 billion Aussie dollars at this new EV platform architecture it calls Neue Klasse. That's not pocket change. In fact, that sort of coin is best described as we don't want to lose to the Chinese sort of money. The Europeans are terrified, but also highly motivated, which sets up a delectable battle between the legacy luxury brands and these new high-tech challenger brands. So, can Denza be a genuine Lexus killer? And is it smart for Aussies to drop prestige money on a brand they've never seen before? And perhaps most crucially, does buying one mean you're supporting a company with a questionable moral compass? You can bet your bottom dollar the global chiefs in China will be watching Australia very closely. And if Denza doesn't take a big chunk out of Lexus, Land Rover, and potentially Zeekr's market share, it'll be quite embarrassing for the global giant. We know the product is solid, but there's a lot more to selling luxury cars than just having the latest killer app. And starting with just 4 dealerships in early 2026 is going to be a problem. The Denza boss reckons that they will have up to 20 dealerships around Australia by the end of 2026. But it's going to be very interesting to see how the strategy unfolds. My personal take? Well, the Denza vehicles are very impressive, and I certainly wouldn't steer anyone away from taking a test drive. We'll have full reviews and comparisons early in 2026. There is a lot of talk around Chinese manufacturers at the moment, but next week I'm going to flip the script and show you that the Aussie automotive industry is far from dead and buried, and that Aussie brands and dealers still have real power. And later in this series, we will dedicate an entire episode to Phase 3, where we'll look at vehicles like those Yangwangs that can jump and swim, and other brands are doing some crazy stuff as well. There's Xiaomi, the mobile phone maker. Those cars are absolutely popping off in China. People are frothing for it. So make sure you're subscribed and you can see the bigger picture on what's going on when we get to that one.